Hi everyone, today I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about the sleep cycle and the 5 to 6 stages of sleep that are encompassed within it. So first we'll start off with stage 0, which is just being awake. So here you're not actually asleep, which is why I said 5 to 6 stages, but here your brain is going to be producing beta waves, which are going to be a pretty fast wave, as this is the energy in your brain you're going to need while you're awake, doing all those kind of awake people things. So then we move on to the actual sleep itself, and this is going to be stage 1 sleep. Here you could definitely say it's a light sleep, and you're barely on the verge of being not awake and asleep. So if somebody was to wake you up during this stage, you're probably not even going to realize that you were asleep until someone told you. This is the kind of scenario where like, oh, I wasn't even asleep yet, is a good way to think about it. So here, your brain slows down to produce alpha waves. Obviously, those are a little slower than the beta waves as you're starting to drift off into a sleep. So moving on from that, we get to stage 2, which is on its way to getting into a deeper sleep. So this is definitely more sleep than stage 1, as you would expect, but you're still not in what we would consider a very deep sleep. Here, you're actually going to know that you were asleep if you were woken up. It's going to be noticeable. And once again, brainwaves slow down even more, and now they'd be marked by what we call theta waves, as your brain is turning off more and more and going into that sleep mode. So then we hit stage 3. This is what we would consider like early deep sleep. Here is when this is when you're going to start saying, yeah, I was asleep in a deep sleep. It'll take a couple seconds for you to wake up. In this stage, it's not going to be as quick as just getting a light tap on the shoulder, waking you back up. And in addition to that, our brain waves are going to slow down even more than they were before, outputting the delta waves now, which are just another name for a wave that's even slower. So moving on, stage 4, this is like when you're really in the deep sleep. If you look at stage 3 as the transition, now you're there, and this is that full-on deep sleep. If you were to be woken up now, you would definitely feel disoriented. It's going to be obvious that you were asleep. But on top of that, everything else is pretty much the same as stage 3. Brain waves are still those theta waves. Nothing else has really changed too much. So now we get on to the most interesting stage of sleep, in my opinion, which is REM sleep. What that REM stands for is rapid eye movement. And this is the stage of sleep when you start to have dreams. And the interesting thing about this is even though it's a deeper stage of sleep by number, your brain activity is not lowering anymore. It actually does the opposite and goes back to like when you were awake. So now we're going to be back to producing those beta waves and your brain is firing like crazy. Another really interesting thing in this stage of sleep is that your body becomes paralyzed. This may seem strange, but it can be pretty easily explained by the fact that when you're in REM having these dreams, things like everyday life may be going on. And if you were asleep and started acting out those physical movements, problems would result. So what your body does is just turn off the motor control, so your body is locked there, paralyzed, you're not acting out those dreams. That's really all there is to that. So then, obviously, it's a sleep cycle. So throughout the night, you're going to go through all of these phases, not just once, but it's going to be multiple times, from wake, REM, stage 1, 2, 3, and 4, just over and over, and hence it being a cycle. An interesting thing to note as well is that REM in the cycle comes before stage 1, 2, 3, and 4. Even though when you first go to sleep, you're going to start at that stage 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, but you'll keep jumping back up to REM, and then you start the cycle over. So it's not like you go up to REM, then you go back down into a lighter sleep. It's you go to REM all the way down, and then you'll hit REM again and repeat that cycle, and then that continues, and that's just going to repeat several times. So that's a simple explanation of the sleep cycle, but that should be what you need to know. Thank you.